Hi, Lucy. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's this is Vivian SD Guzman, and as you all know, I have a background in holistic physical therapy in the past, and I also do energy work before I went into business coaching, energy clearing, and looking at energies and connecting the dots to really allow the person to have ease, grace, and flow when it comes to whatever it is they're doing, right? In business or whatever profession that they would like to really get into and be seriously committed to serving their ideal clients. And the one thing that's important I notice is sometimes as creators of our energy in our world, we offer too many things to people and then they get all confused and discombobulated and then they can't really make money. As you all know, um, people call me the #1 money magnet activator because when they start to work with me, somehow whatever money blocks they have or conversations in their head that are not really beneficial in receiving, those start to go away and those start to get cleared. Now, the question there goes into what's a human MRI? That's my other title, right? Because I was a physical therapist in the past. And as you bring that gift to the world, like my ability to see with my third eye, like what is the resistance that's blocking them from really inviting abundance and prosperity into their life? Hence, this is what I do now, right? I coach people when after clearing, so I incorporate both the medical side of me and the business side of me, clearing the blocks so that they can really get to this flow of money. So today we're going to talk about creating your irresistible offer. So this is about you, what your products and services are, and how do you deliver this to the world. So the emotions, I'm going to start to talk about physical, emotional, relationship, and spiritual, right? Because that's my background. That's the gamut of what I cover. When you're creating an offer, but you're not really convinced, you're not quite happy with it, you're not confident, you can't really stand and deliver, you don't have your stamp of approval, energetically, that translates to no sales or little sales, or almost like you get frustrated that no one's hearing you. So in this day and age, we got to rise above the market and say, who are the clients that really resonate with this offer? Who are the clients that you love to work with? And last Monday, my business coach and mentor, Jade Stone, I hope you guys have that copy of that Zoom presentation. Who is your ideal client? You have to be clear with who that is, because this offer is going to reflect the needs and wants of that client, right? So why do we do this? I want you to ask yourself, so go ahead and grab a piece of pen and paper. Ask your big why. Why did you open a business? And I want you this time to be really clear and honest with yourself, coming from your heart, not your head. Is it because you want to help more people? Do you really want to make more money? Do you want to get out of debt? Maybe you want to travel more, or do you want to have more adventures? So if one of the reasons is not there, please write down, what is your big why? Why are you even doing this? So just check off how many that you want there. And the next question to you is, what will the accomplishment of your why do for you? So let's say you found a bigger house, you know, you like to live in a bigger house, you paid off your debt, you traveled more. So why are you doing all that, right? So when you finally get this money that you think you need to have, why are you doing it? What for? Is it you want to prove something to yourself? Do you want to just feel successful? So really, why? And I want to ask some of you if you'd like to volunteer. I just want to know why you're doing it. You can unmute yourself if you'd like to share.
I do it for fulfillment, actually, like total fulfillment, and to also be able to contribute to the world and to also get my ideas out. I have a lot of ideas, and it feels good to actually put them in motion and see what they become.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Angela. Anyone else who want to share their why? It's nice to flush that out. Usually it just makes you feel good. It opens your heart. So that's the reason why we do what we do, right? So remember, the feeling, the emotion is the fuel to the idea that you have. So when you have an idea, but there's no emotion there, it's not going to move. I can just tell you that. It's flat, right? So what if, probably some of you are asking, well, what if I have so many emotions, I can't even distinguish which is which, right? So that would compete with one another, the emotion. But the question is, remember, this is not about you. When you create a business, and it's finally your baby, right? The baby still has to grow up, right? The baby needs to move. The baby needs to crawl. All those things, the stages of the development will happen. So these are some of the truths that I know is really universal. Money is energy, okay? It goes in and it goes out. Money will do what you think, feel, say, and do. Unfortunately, unconsciously and subconsciously, so you direct the flow of money. So if you're doing the physical things like creating your avatar, creating your offer, then you market it, but inside you're like, oh no, I don't think they're gonna take that offer. You know, like you have so many conversations in your head and inside of you that's a negative emotion. Remember, money will not show up at your door just because of that. Okay, so please pay attention to how you're thinking, feeling, saying, and doing, because it might be canceling each other out. And the ease of money flow depends on your receiving capacity. So everybody just close your eyes. And I want you to feel what it's like to receive. Okay, so first we're gonna do a little exercise. So let's do an exercise that you're receiving rain. You know how you go out in the rain. When I was a kid, I remember I just loved to play out in the rain. So I would just go out and just feel the flow of the raindrops on my face and in my, on my body. I just want to receive that energy, right? So I want you to just feel what it's like receiving. Okay, so that's the feeling when you're receiving. Now, I want you to now imagine this time, instead of rain, money is flowing down from the sky. And I just want you to feel what it's like, what that feels like when money is flowing from the sky. So this time, I want you to imagine a container like a bucket in front of you, and go ahead as if you're pulling again this plug from the heaven and you're asking the heaven to rain money into that bucket of container that you have, right? So the container is like your offer. Therefore, you still have to create it, right? What would allow your ideal client to just say, "Ooh, I like what she's having," and then exchange money for that, okay? So when we start a business and when we want it to be easy and flowing, I'm all about ease, grace, and flow, you guys. Because when you're forcing something to happen, you notice there will be resistance, and you want to recognize that within yourself. Because when you have resistance within you, your clients will offer the same resistance, okay? And this is a growth process, right? Because we learn as we grow. So the number one thing we have to know is we got to define who is our ideal client. Who are the people that you want to hang out with day in, day out? You want to talk to them and you enjoy their company, right? So think about that one person. So like I said, if you haven't reviewed the free webinar we did with Jade, my business manager, last Monday, please send me like a chat or an email, vivian@feelbetterrehab.com, so I can send you that recording. Number two, we want to be clear with your message. The problem you're helping solve for your client. So I know a lot of us can be energy healers and then we want to solve the whole problem, right? So please put on the chat, what is the one problem that you help solve for your client? So when you're designing an offer, okay, think about the end result of, okay, what are the clients going to achieve when they finish this program or this offer that I have for them? So just a side note, so Teddy said unhappiness, right? So unhappiness is the problem you help solve for the client. When you figure out, okay, so they go from unhappy to happy, right? That's usually the case. There's a end result. So think about, where are they starting and then where are they ending? Teddy says achieving living their best life, whatever that might mean to them. Now, when you figure out, okay, so this is the problem you solve for them, now you gotta go, okay, I gotta market this somewhere and spread awareness. You're gonna have to choose, if you're good at Facebook already, I usually would choose one form of marketing, unless you have a VA or somebody else that'll take care or manage that platform. Because if you're in several platforms, you're not only creating the course, you're also doing the marketing, right? So choose whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or email marketing, okay? Or like with me, I have a TV show. So that goes to Facebook, YouTube. It's like a one button and then it goes everywhere in 7 different platforms. So figure out the market, like where do your ideal clients hang out? That's the very thing that you need to know. Because if you say, oh, you're going to market in Instagram, but your clients are not in Instagram, well, how are they going to know the program, right? So you got to figure out the fastest way. It's almost like a vehicle, right? It's like, this is my gift to, let's say, my brother, and I want this delivered to San Diego. Well, what's the fastest way I can get the package can get there, right? Is it by plane, by bus, by car, by what? Okay, so Angela says, I can offer a block of engaging content to continue the education for kids while teachers are able to work on other online classroom needs, also help the kids interested and engaged. Okay, perfect. So now you got to have a way for them to click to be in your community. So that's what we call a landing page. That's different than a website, because this is just a one-page thing wherein you collect their name and their email address so that you can connect with them. And after that, this is the part people forget, you're supposed to nurture your clients. So even if they haven't paid you yet, well, you have to have a way of communicating with them, because if they heard you once this week, but then they never heard back from you in 3-4 months, they're not going to buy just because you decided to offer a program, if that makes sense. So the first thing we build is our list, right? And we create a series of automatic email follow-up with a call to action. So basically you have to give value. You have to give them something in order for them to start trusting you. And when you're ready to do your offer, right? So there's a lot of nurturing that happens. Then you start to offer what you're offering now, okay? In your budget or spending plan, it would be nice to hire a personal assistant. That's also good in maybe what you're not so good at. So let's say you're good at creating a package, but then you don't know how to do sales or marketing, social media, or any kind of scheduling on your calendar. Please assign someone that knows how to do that so that you can stay in your genius zone, okay? I'm slowing down my voice and my presentation because I want to make sure that everybody understands this part. This whole webinar series this week, we have the Ideal Avatar Monday. Today is creating your offer. And then marketing is our webinar, free webinar with Amy Lancy, my marketing director on or a copywriter on Friday, okay? So let's get clear. Please write down what problem you solve. So what are your clients worried about? They can't sleep at night because of this, or maybe they're bleeding money because they don't know what it is, but you can solve that problem. So please type on the chat, what is the problem you solve? And then go to, what does this person want to achieve by the end of your program? Because remember, you're creating a program for the client, right? So you have one avatar. Please don't think of 2, 3, 5 avatars. I need you to think of one person that could really resonate with your message and your offer. Okay, Teddy, oh, Shifra says clear hydrated skin. Okay, that's the end of the program. Okay, Teddy says unhappiness, having a hard time losing weight. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and type in whatever else, anybody else that has, what is the problem you solve, right? Please identify that. What are you good at? This is how I thought of it before, right? Like things that are so easy to me, I don't even have to think about it. So for me, identifying money blocks, clearing what that is, that's very easy for me, okay? The question is, will your client take that step? That's another question, right? So we need to create a program to support them to be able to trust not just you, but themselves in order for them to actually do what they needed to do to make that happen for them. So think about that ideal avatar. Teddy says organization or lack of. Okay, that's the problem you're solving. Okay. Now, you're going to ask yourself, how will you serve them? There's 3 ways of doing it. It could be a one-on-one, right? Private session. It could be 1:many, that's a group session, or it could be a combination wherein you have a private and a group. Now I can tell you, like for me, I've served the clients with a combination because I know sometimes there are personal things and private things that they just can't disclose in front of the group. So I like the idea of having that private session so then they can be open and responsive, and they can shift, just because once they own it, then they can move it. Basically, they can shift it. You can record your videos or audio key points of teaching, so your paid clients can do the homework prior to having them show up in your meetings, right? All right. Monica says, I help corporate middle managers identify the issues they have to progress in their career and why they're not getting promoted, and create a plan of action for them. And this includes identifying skill deficiencies. Right. That's a pain point, right? So Monica, if you think about it, the person wants to get promoted and they're like, I can't get promoted. I need that raise, right? For my family. And so when you talk to their pain points, because remember, if it's not a problem for them, so let's say from 1 to 10, if you think about scaling, right? And 10 is like, this is an emergency. I got to do something right now because this is hurting my family. This is hurting me. That's more likely that they're more willing to buy from you because they're already in a state of panic and emergency, versus a 3/10 is like, yeah, I'm not happy with my job, but I guess it's okay. I can wait 2 more years. So think about that. If they're not in a state to actually say, I need help, it doesn't matter how good your offer is. So I always say, please don't take that personally, because they're not ready for you. And you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay that the thing is, you have to be specific and clear with your offer and who you want to bring in to your container, to your delivery system, because otherwise you're settling, right? Like you're just picking up whoever is available. And that doesn't feel good, by the way. When you're not crystal clear, it doesn't feel good when you just have people that are like, yeah, it would be nice if I have that, versus, yes, I'm really committed to having that. Okay. Now, how long will you offer a group session or even your private sessions, right? Think about 6 to 12, when we have containers like this, that's ideal depending on how long will it take for the clients to transform. It really depends on the transformation. So again, look at yourself. Let's say you have a problem you've solved in the past. How long did it take for you to unravel all the reasons why you don't go to the next steps, right? So ask yourself that. But traditionally, about 6 to 12 weeks, right? Like 1.5 to 3 months. That's pretty ideal for like a group program. Now, a lot of coaches will tell you go 1 year. Uh, like for personal experience, for me, I don't work that long because I shift very fast. So when people want fast resolutions, they come to me for that, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So let's compare the difference. One-on-one is more personalized. So remember this too. If you like one-on-one, but then you're creating a group, it could be your at different levels, or maybe you just resonate better if it's a one-on-one teaching. The good thing with the group is you teach based on principles, right? And there's accountability. It's almost like when this person gets better, you're like, oh, she's having some wins. I like that too. So the group dynamics in a way is very beneficial for a lot of people because of that. Now, one-on-one, you can go deep, right? So when I'm doing energy work and I'm seeing past life experiences or triggers in their future, like we can go there because that's their life, like that person's life. But one-to-many, sometimes you can't go so deep because they don't want to be so vulnerable. They don't talk about personal stuff there, right? Now, you're not able to scale with a one-on-one unless you charge $500, $1,000 an hour. And it's limited to the number of hours a day because we're humans, we need to rest, right? So I haven't really seen people do one-on-one unless they're like semi-retired, and then charge a very little amount of money, like $300, $200, $100. You can't make a lot of millions that way because even if you do the math, it doesn't quite work. Versus a group session, you can scale, right? You can have 10 clients in a group, 30 or 100, more than 100, right? Depending again on your capacity, right? Because even if you make money, but you're so unhappy because people are complaining or you're not able to really address their needs, then that enrollment also drops. Now, one-on-one, this is very good if you're just a starting business and you want to kind of see, like survey what your clients' needs and wants are. So once you start looking at a pattern and you're like, oh yeah, this is a common theme that they're all having, then you can transition into a group session. So again, group, they may not just open up their secrets to everyone because it's a group setting. So one-on-one is good if you're just starting out because you want to see some patterns, and then one-to-many is good to leverage your time and skill set. All right. Any questions so far? Because we're going to go into pricing. You can unmute if you have a question. So again, you have to have the avatar, right? And then now you're creating your offer. And ask yourself, like, what am I really good at? What are you good at? Because it's either you've solved the problem yourself, you've done it many times, you've solved it for other people, except you haven't really charged for it in the past. It's so no-brainer for you that it's just, that's the one you can offer. Okay, go ahead, Shifra, what's your question?
Okay, so my question is, well, it's really a statement and a question at the same time.
Sure.
So I just can't comprehend charging $500 for a skin analysis.
Mm-hmm.
What I can comprehend is a skin analysis and the product
Mm-hmm.
at the same time.
Okay.
Like offering the product at the same time and then a follow-up like within 3 to 6 months on their skin as a package deal.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Because I just can't charge $500 for a skin analysis. That just doesn't feel, that feels really heavy.
What's the market charging?
Oh, market charging is free consultation. I'm not doing that anymore. I said that in the class the other day. I'm not doing it. Because when I do that, they don't buy. They're just looking for something for free, and I'm not willing, because I have so much experience.
Got it.
That I'm not willing to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So I thought if I did it with a package deal of
Yes.
saying, look, this is what you'll get for the $500. You'll get to choose up to blah, blah, blah amount of product and 2 consultations.
So remember this. So let's go to the pricing so you can maybe massage that a little bit, okay? So the principle is you have to start with the end in mind. So with this one consultation and a follow-up with a product that you sell to them, right? What would be the end of that consultation?
What would be the end of that consultation?
Say, what do they get out of that?
Well, they're going to see an improvement in their skin.
transformation?
They're going to see a transformation. And then if something isn't working, we can kind of tweak it a bit. We can tweak
Yep.
or add
Mhm.
to the product. But it would be like $500. This is what you're going to get. This is just my thinking since Monday.
Mhm.
This is what you're going to get for the package deal,
Right.
instead of.
Yeah. So now the question is, how many follow-ups would you encourage during that time? So from the time they had a consultation, they bought a package, and then there's the recheck, right? How many
I'm going
more
to say
phone
2. So
calls
they'd have
would
their
you-
initial, they'd have the month afterwards, because it takes about 28 days to, see a change in the skin.
Okay.
And then we can do 3 to 6 months after that. They can choose 3 months or 6 months, or I'd have to choose and figure out what would be best
Mhm.
for them. And
So in other words, it's like 3 sessions. The first one is the initial with the product, then they'll recheck with you in 30 days, and then they'll recheck again another 30 days.
yes.
Okay.
No, let's back up. Well, 30 days. Well, okay. Yeah, something like that. Because we have to make sure that the product's working for them.
Exactly. So what if the product doesn't work 30 days later?
Well, that we would have to tweak things, of course.
Okay.
They would have to let me know within a period of time, within a 2-week period of time,
Okay.
that it's not working, so that there can be a return or an exchange. Well, I don't want returns because it's a package deal.
Okay. So that's where the flexibility. Okay. So you have to think of all these different scenarios, right? Like, what if it works? This is what happens. What if it doesn't work? This is what happens. So my suggestion is to you actually go through that process yourself. And instead of saying, okay, I'm not going to take this, right? So is it because once you sell it, that's done? Or is it the goal is the satisfaction of the customer and resolution of their problem? So remember.
Well, yeah, it's always the satisfaction of the customer. But what I meant was I'm not going to give their money back on the $500.
Mm-hmm.
We
However,
would just.
Are you willing to exchange the products if it doesn't work 30 days later?
That's what I was going to say. We would do an exchange of product.
And how many times are you going to do that? See how there's so many questions that go with that, right?
Well, that's why there would be a 14-day window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There could be like a 14-day window, because I know with the product that I work with, I only have 28 days. So I have to give them, as we know, doTERRA just gives us so much time.
Right. So you do have to almost like walk your customer through, like if it's a satisfied customer, what happens? And then the other lane is, well, what happens if there's a reaction? What's the next step? So this start your wheels turning here, because there's so many different scenarios that can happen. But if you start to think about those things ahead of time, it's called future planning, right? Then you go, okay, if this happens, there's like a flow chart for everything. And then most likely, if you've thought of the worst case scenario, the customers anyway will be happy because you're attentive to their needs, if that makes sense.
Say that one more time.
Oh, just review the recording. You'll hear it. Like when you took the time to evaluate what are the different possibilities that can happen to this customer and this product.
No, I got that. Just the very last thing you said. Yeah, the very last thing you said.
End result of the customer's happy, and I was able to help them with their skincare, and then they're going to be a repeat customer. So you see how our intention, right? Because we want the client, especially with products, to be a repeat customer, to keep on buying or asking again for your consultation when that product no longer works. Make sense?
Makes total sense.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cool. Awesome. All right. So in business, I want you to think of revenue this way. 50% goes to your business, okay? And 50% is paid to you as your practitioner or employee of the business. I think this is one of the downfall of a lot of people starting a business, because they just think, oh, good, I'm earning an extra $500 or $1,000, but then they forget that they may hire another person. Maybe other people are better at sales than them, right? Like, you have to hire people that you're not good at. That's not your genius zone. And you got to know your base expenses, including paying yourself as part of the company or business. This was for me a firsthand experience, because I didn't know all these in the past. I kind of knew it. You know how you know it logically, but then you don't apply it because you don't know it. So think about this when you are creating your offer. If you're going to do a one-on-one, know that your time is valuable. So you have to price this appropriately. So if you're going to do a group session, okay, so think about this. If your base expense, let's say, is 10,000 a month, and if you're only charging 100 per person for group session, let's say for 8 weeks, then you'll need 100 people per month to join this group to cover your base expense. Okay, I'll let you sink in with that first. So I did 10,000 divided by 100. That means 100 people per month. So let's say in your head, you're like, I would like to have $10,000 revenue a month, right? So we're looking at numbers. If you divide that by 100 per person per group session, you need 100 of them every single month to make your 10,000. Did that number make sense to anyone? So you see how if Shifra wanted 500, right, per person, maybe per group session. So this is group, right? This is not even one-on-one. So if you're only charging a certain amount, that's the amount of money you're going to make later. So if she got $500 skin consultation with products, she has to pay for the product, right? She still, if she only has 4 clients a month, like 1 client a week, how much is that? $2,000 minus her product, right? That's extra if she has a job. But if she doesn't have a job, that's how much she makes. So if you don't know your expenses, then you're not going to be able to really make the money as a business owner. So think about a one-on-one coaching or healing. So let's say you charge $300 a session. That's an hour. If your income goal is $10,000 a month, how many clients do you need per month? So this is math. So 10,000 divided by 300, you're going to need 33.33 clients per month. Divided by 4 weeks, that means you need to have 8 clients per week, which is, if you work 4 days a week, that's 2 clients a day. Okay, I want to make sure you guys got the numbers. So this is one weakness that a lot of people I see in business do. It's like, I want to have a business. I want to make money. And then when they start charging and then they start becoming weak in the energetics of money, they don't know how much to charge, or they don't feel deserving of the money they're receiving. Okay, so what's needed, if you would like to have 8 paying clients a week, well, you got to market, right? Exposure and awareness about your work by more people. So if you have friends that you talk about what you do, but they're not buying from you, they're not your client, right? So you have to go to a location where they're hanging out. And you do have to have effective marketing channels to get your message out. So if you're always at home and you're not sharing with anybody, maybe social media, but then it's like crickets, nobody's like responding to your posts or even asking about what you do or your products, that won't work very well, would it? Right? So that's one-on-one coaching. You cannot live in a bubble and not be connected with other people who may be interested in what you're selling. So any question on this particular pricing? I want to know what you guys are thinking there. So go ahead and unmute yourself.
Vivian,
Yes,
I have a question.
sure.
I have a business goal,
Mhm.
but how realistic, let's say hypothetically, not hypothetically,
Mhm.
let's say my business goal is to make $20,000 a month,
Okay,
10,000 for me and 10,000 for the business.
right.
With this being said, with these examples you're sharing with us,
Mhm.
how realistic is to hit this goal right off the bat? As I have had to adjust multiple times with the current situation, with my client not ready, and I just keep waiting for the opportune moment.
Right. So for you, Teddy, because Teddy and I have worked for a few months now, it's really finding where the fish is at, like finding where your ideal clients are hanging out. Because the good thing with you is you already created your package. You know what you're about to deliver, right? And the more you speak, right? Like speaking is one of your assets, right? You're able to do public speaking. You got to find the right connection that will bring you to your ideal client who would like to lose weight using the methods that you teach. Does that make sense? So it's now
Yes, it does.
your main challenge is the marketing strategies that would lead you to the right audience. Because you know who your
Thank you. So
ideal
what I'm
audience
hearing
is,
you
right?
say, I think I have a delay in my speaking. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
But what I'm hearing you say is I need to come up with a marketing strategy and to find where my client hangs out at.
Yes, that's the thing, because you already have a package, right? You got this. You have the pricing, you have the package. So now that's the beauty of that, right? Here's a package with a bow. Now, because you need to tell people the ideal client, like you got to ask yourself, where are those people that want to lose weight, but not the old fashioned way? Like, this is my way of sharing, right? Your way of sharing with the audience, with your ideal client, how to lose weight, kind of unorthodox way of losing weight, right? It's a different way of losing weight because it's more a lifestyle change rather than just losing weight and dieting. You're not dieting.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So yes, you said how much is your package, Teddy? Just share with the
I
group.
have 2-3 levels. I have two,
Okay.
3 levels of packages. I kept changing prices because I did not have anyone. So my 6
Don't
weeks
change that
class
price.
was $1,500.
Okay.
Say it again.
Don't keep on changing price because that's gonna confuse your audience. So what you can do now is vary the marketing, so to speak, and find ways and channels wherein you can reach your ideal audience. But keep the pricing and then start to speak to those people that are looking for that topic or podcasts, or basically you need someone now, you need to connect with multiple people that have multiple audience that are looking for weight loss the unorthodox way, your way.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, good. So keep your income goal, okay? So 20,000 a month, because like you said, 10,000 goes to the business, 10,000 goes to you, right? Keep it, okay? And now find a different marketing strategy. Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it, YouTube? Where do you need to go in order to disseminate that information? That's your next step, so to speak. Okay?
Thank
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so if you're doing group session, let's say $10,000 a
I have
month,
a
right?
question.
Oh yes, go ahead. Who's that
So
person?
that's Monica.
Monica. Okay.
Hi. So
Hi.
I'm just kind of starting out. I've got
Okay.
20 plus years of experience of doing this where I actually coach. I I actually have these conversations with C-suite executives.
Mhm.
And my concern is that I am starting out maybe a little bit too low. And I know I'm definitely not hitting my audiences and where they're hanging out,
So
right?
what's
So
your
whether it's,
ideal client, Monica?
so I have two ideal clients. My first one is with a I'll just say middle management. So people that are in the middle of their career, they have work experience, they have enough knowledge to understand where they want to go to next. However, they just kind of don't know, I'll just say, the rules of engagement. And so they need to fine tune. And then secondly is with those entrepreneurs, same thing, where they, have the zeal, they have the vision, but they may need some of those base communication or processes and things like that. Again, how do you just make sure that there's some finesse and direction? Because I have a technical background, I get it, right? And so just trying to help. And so, but I know that I'm similar to, I forgot who had the facial regimen, but it's a 3-month commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a 3-month commitment in order to get that change. But, and so it's at minimum, $350. I think it should be at least $500 a month, if not higher, right? Because
so it's a retainer, would you say? It's a retainer
yes,
agreement?
it would be a retainer. Yep.
So
And
is
then
this coaching or is this
yes, it's coaching.
got it. Okay. So do you think in 90 days people can just change? Like once you've given them the tools and within that 3 months, is this every week or just once a month? You're coaching.
I keep muting myself with
I
my
know.
ear. I'm sorry.
No worries.
So it is once a week. And so, and I feel like I am at that stage where you mentioned, hey, you start off once, one-on-one. And once you see a pattern,
Yep.
then you move to the group. And I'm still in that one-on-one phase.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
So
So that's why it would be
well, let
weekly.
me break it down to you with numbers, right? 500 divided by 4, you're literally, is this an hour?
Roughly 45 minutes.
Okay, so it's $125 per hour that you're charging for every session. That's what it is, okay?
Yep.
And again, remember
math.
this, whatever your per hour is, because right now, if you're an employee, and this was hard for me in the beginning when I was an employee, right? Like, you know how I was a physical therapist, I was making $50 an hour. I had almost like a nervous breakdown trying to charge $100, right, for healing. But remember, that's a totally different capacity, right? Like physical therapist, it's pure profit. Like that's the money you take home and, minus taxes and all that good stuff. But when you're running a business, well, you're not the only one, right? You have staff, you have overhead, you have to pay. Let's say before I was doing Infusionsoft, like there's so many things in business that we don't take into consideration. We just think it's marketing, but it's not. That's why I said you have to at least double or triple your per hour in order for that to even be worth it for you. Because otherwise you can't leave your job. You have to stay in your job in order for you to even make this business take off. And they say that when finally you're like, when this business is already, it's like a baby, right? Like you're birthing a baby. And when the business is finally making 50% of what you're making a month, that's the time to leave the job and really go full-time in the business.
That makes sense.
Right? So you cannot charge your per hour rate because you're never going to get out of that job. Okay?
That makes sense. Yeah. And it's funny where, yeah, and I get it in concept. And I actually have said this and I'm like, hey, that's too low. And all those things that you have to take into consideration and raise it. But I feel like I don't want to say a hypocrite, but I get it in principle, but the execution, good night.
Yeah, because of all the money conversations that we have in our head, like who are you to charge me $500? The other thing you can do to get a raise there is to just coach them every 2 weeks. So now you're getting $250 for the session. So you coach them, but they have to execute it. But you know how people, you give them an advice and then they don't do anything because they're going to see you again next week. So the question is, are you successful with that coaching every week? Or is it better that you hold them accountable because they're paying, right? The thing is, if
Yeah.
they're paying just a little bit of money and it doesn't really hurt to change or not change, they're not going to change. I can tell you that. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to charge appropriately, because finally, when they know it's going to hurt, right? This money is going to cost me something, so I better change my ways to make this happen. When it's not
That's
that painful, they're not going to change. I mean, we're creatures of habit, right? So,
yeah. That,
so I
that
hope
makes
that
sense.
helps you. There's different ways of massaging that figure, so to speak. So, but if you want an instant raise, just go $500 a month, but then it's 2 sessions. Mm. Then
I
they have
like
to
the raise.
execute, right? So if they don't execute, well, what are we talking about the next coaching session? Nothing, because they never
Mm.
did their part. They're thinking, well, maybe you could fix this for me. You can't. They have to be a willing participant in making it happen, because it's
Yep.
not your life, it's their life. You're like mirroring what they're doing, right? So when you're coaching, you're not trying to save them, you're not a savior. You're giving them a different option of looking at things differently. And then when they try it, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's not going to be easy initially, they will always have some resistance. And once they get over that, they're like, oh, that wasn't so hard, I can do that.
Okay.
If that makes
That
sense.
makes sense.
Okay.
That does make sense. Thank
Now
you.
my iCloud kept on showing up now. How do I remove this thing? Anyway, oh, here you go. Okay, so let's, $10,000. Let's say your capacity is 6, because you don't want to see more than 6 people, right? 10,000 divided by 6, you're gonna make 1,666.67 per client per month if it's a 4-week program. Now, if it's 8 weeks, then you gotta ask for $3,333.33 if it's 10,000 is the goal. So Teddy, for you, you have to multiply that by 2, basically, right? So a lot of times I notice this, right? As a money magnet activator, it's we, the coach or mentor, when we cannot comfortably say the number, you cannot sell it to somebody. It just won't work, because you cannot receive that amount. Is this resonating with anyone? Like, this is energetics. So if you're not confident with the number that you open your mouth with, no one's gonna buy it, you guys. It's like, what happened? I prepared so much for this and then nobody's buying. It's because you're not confident enough in your products and services and that you can receive that amount. Anyone has a comment on that? This is just an observation, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. I'm saying it from experience.
So Vivian, I understand that, because I will tell you, probably a year ago, if you would have asked me about consultation, I would have gone, oh, it's free. And now it's like, no, I'm not giving stuff away for free anymore. I'm not doing it.
Because you have,
it's just like the energy's just
time.
It's so funny that you just said that, because I was literally just sitting here thinking, gosh, nothing in me feels anymore like I'm going to give it for free. I may give you some nuggets once you pay. I may give some free nuggets.
Right.
I'm just done with the free stuff.
Right,
so it's just the energy
they
just
don't
feels
value it. They don't value free, by the way, just to let you know. Sometimes like, oh, I learned so much, but then they forget about it because it was just that. It was free. Okay. All right. So if you want to have 12 clients, you see how the more clients in a group, the less you charge, right? 833.33 per client per month. Does that make sense? So you decide first the amount you're going to make, right? This is how much I would love to receive this month. And you got to love it, people. If you're like, yeah, I guess I'll do 4,000 a month. That the energy, did you see the energy? That doesn't sound very appealing, right? Like you probably don't even want to be here. That's how it is. But then you're like, what would $10,000 a month do for me? For my lifestyle, right? How much can I give to these people? I noticed that when you actually can receive this amount, you will be able to have this fluid exchange. Like you just give. Like I'm a very giving person. So normally I would create a package and then I keep on giving, it's like it's not on the list, but then I'm like, well, they need this right now. So then I would just give it to them. That's what happens when you're in the flow. because you're so happy exchanging that with them. Okay. Is this helpful for you guys to see the difference between one-on-one and group coaching or healing?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, so where do you start, right? So first of all, I want to make sure when you design your offer that that's your genius zone. Like I said, you don't even think about it. You just do it automatically. Even in your sleep, you can just spit it out. That's your genius zone, right? So what do people ask you to do for them all the time? And you don't have to think twice since you answer it or you do it immediately. So for me, when I read the energy, I just know exactly where their money blocks are. It's this, physical, emotional, mental, psychic, spiritual, like that. Or it's your ancestors, or you got it from your parents, or whatever it is, right? I see it immediately. And so we call that a discovery session. In other words, I could just see exactly where their blocks are. Now, in the past, when I was starting, I was just clearing them. Again, free, right? And then I said, no, I'm not going to do this for free. I started charging for that, right? And then they're like, oh my God, that really made me better. So I started really raising that price. I made it $9.97. So to work with me first time, just to clear the energy, whatever blocks they have, because it's like a sudden like vacuuming of the things that cause the problem, right? So that went up to $9.97. So they can't just say, oh, let me just try it. Because again, we don't want just the tryouts. We want people, like for me, I wanted committed. They're really willing to get better and they can pay the fees. So those were my two criteria when I bring people in the fold. So then it doesn't waste your time, right? So when you value your skill and your time, you start to think differently than most people, because you don't want to clutter your field unless you're just trying out and seeing who the ideal client is. I can tell you, when you set the standard and then people come into your fold, totally different energy than when you're begging for a business. Completely different, okay? And when bottlenecks show up, because it could be you want to do it, or if you're really not good at it, I either delegate it, or basically I pay someone to do it, or I ask, is there anybody else who's good in the team to do this? So when you have a date, so let's say you go, okay, I'm going to create a program and I'm going to start it this time. So you have to have a due date, because that's your goal and that's a dream with a deadline. If you just want to dream, I can like walk, meditate, look at the clouds, and there's really no deadline. So I'm not holding myself accountable to anything. Well, that's also lack of integrity to your dream, right? So when you say, okay, I'm going to take, you'll notice this, okay? For Monica, I want to share this with you. So let's say your price was 500 and it was like 4 times a week, right? Suddenly, 500 a month, 4 times a week. And then suddenly you go, I'm going to start now, even if you don't even announce it. You just energetically decide in your head that starting March 2021, I'm going to start to raise my price, right? Let's say $600, and you're only going to do 2 times a week. What's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of clients come in, usually. Okay, energetics would be like you're almost talking to the universe and say, I'm about to raise my price. And somehow people start to come in. It's almost this scarcity thing. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get there before she raises her price, right? And then when you decide, though, please don't keep on changing your mind. Like, maybe I'll do it in April because there's a lot of people. They could pay for the 500. It's just you're gonna schedule them ahead of time. And when your calendar gets booked, you just go, well, this is now $1,000. Like you just bump it up to the next phase, because that didn't work, right? Because well, it worked because you had more income coming in. It's just you're busier. Okay, that makes sense. So this is how you determine your zone of genius. You're exceptional at that, whatever that is for you, and no one does it quite like you. That is your zone of genius. If you can stay there 80% of the time, you're going to be very happy with your life. But the thing is, a lot of times we go to the zone of incompetence. You're not good at it. Like I'm not good at social media, trying to figure out what post to do. Or zone of competence, average at this, like the things I'm not good at, I hire somebody to do that, because that delegation will give you more mileage in your skill set so that you can charge more for the thing that you're really good at. Okay, you can go into your zone of excellence, or you can hire good people that are good at what they do, right? Amy Lancy's good at copywriting, so I ask her to write certain copies for me. I just tell her what I want, right, to have and who my audience is, and then she creates that for me, if that makes sense. In the past, I was doing everything, and so it's like, well, basically, you're running beyond the almost empty tank. That's what happens in a business, because in a business, if you're doing what you're not good at, then you get frustrated, right? So I like to be happy and in the flow. That's why I stay in my zone of genius. So for me, healing, identifying the blocks, it's like giving them a jump start and shocking them and say, hey, this is what you're going to do next. And then they open up, and then they just find the different people they need in their life to bring about their magic to the world. Okay. All right. Now, ask yourself, where are your bottlenecks? So ask yourself, am I going to really put time and energy to learn this and execute it? Or should just I pay someone better than me to do the task? So you ask yourself, because if you stay in your zone of genius, and if you really use, like in human design, your prosperity key, you definitely will make money. Money is energy. So it's a no-brainer, right? Like, you offer something to someone and they really love it. You give them the price. They say, I can't pay all that. Okay, so give them a payment plan, and that's it. There's really nothing in between there, right? So the question is, how can I help you, right, in your zone of genius? So everybody tell me your zone of genius. So then we can maybe do a lab on this, because I would love to help each one of you.
Marketing is for me.
Marketing is your zone of genius, Teddy? Yes. Okay. So have you figured out what platform you're going to use to do marketing now?
Well, my DA Lisa and I planned for, in addition to Facebook, LinkedIn, to start showing live, for me to show live with challenges for my audience.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
every Wednesday, we started this morning.
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
I showed up live.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Now, so the goal for you is to increase the number of people in your group, right? Is that a specific Facebook group that you're doing?
Well, we blasted it all over the place. On my personal, on my business, Your Best Life, and my Splash into 2021 private Facebook group as well.
Remember, the Splash into 2021 is your paid group. Remember that, right? So what I would suggest is you create, you know how I have a Wealthy Money Mindset Facebook group? So everything goes there that's free, like a challenge, because you want to increase the number of people there to build your audience, the one that are potential clients for you to buy from you, if that makes sense. Okay? So you're choosing.
It does, yet when I created my webinar, Splash into 2021, that's when I created the Splash into 2021 private group, so I can create a community that I can start nurturing.
Yes, 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 exactly. So, and it could be, what was the word that I used a while ago? Some kind of an unorthodox way of losing weight, right? It could be that. So then you can gather people there. And, you know, when you're doing a webinar, you're giving some tips. But obviously the tips, until they start to change their mindset and until they really change their habits, they're really not going to
you can use it any way you want.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, Teddy create, like I have a Wealthy Money Mindset, but then Up Level 2021 is my group for the people that are paid. Does that make sense? Up Level 2021 being a money magnet, that's the paid group. So nobody else goes in that page unless they're a paying customer. Wealthy Money Mindset is where like a lot of the actions happen and a lot of the promotions and the games and things like that happen. And that's where you nurture your customers.
So,
That's where you talk to them and bring new people in.
Vivian, what is your suggestion then? Since I created the Splash into 2021 private group to be the webinar community,
Okay.
what would you suggest will be appropriate name for the paid group? If Splash into 2021 is my message for the whole year.
Oh, I got you. I got you. So it could be, what is the name of the group? It could be just Splash into 2021 paid group. You can just create.
How about,
yeah.
How about my LLC's Your Best Life? How about Splash into Your Best Life?
Oh, there you go. Perfect. See, you figured it out. Good job. Awesome. And you may not want to put the 2021 there, because next year, if you're continuing with that same program, then that might change, right? So you can say
Splash into your best.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Any questions so far? Anything?
Well, mine's talking. Mine's just talking and having people feel comfortable. That's what mine is.
Okay. You want them to feel comfortable with you, or with
I want them to feel comfortable with me and feel confident at the same time. That's just, I'm really good at just talking with people and having them feel comfortable in what they're purchasing. Because, I can't do the facials right now, so they can't feel the one-on-one. So it all has to be about a purchase right now.
Right.
So you asked what our specialties were. Mine is just, I'm a good talker. I'm really good at talking.
Okay. Awesome. So
and just
remember, you have to be comfortable with you also, so that they will be comfortable with you. It's always the mirror.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if there's an ounce of you, a milligram of you that's kind of like, I don't know, like that tendency to please is not a saleable conversation.
That is me about them worrying about them spending that money. That's what it is.
So that means
it's not about me, because I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm pretty much comfortable in my own skin. It's just that I get that little, like, it used to be my whole head. It used to be my entire brain. Now it's just a little section in the way back going, do I really?
You still have some money conversations going in your head. That's what's happening.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I have to clear. However, I'm really good in the conversation.
Good, good. Now remember, conversation is a two-way street. So they talk and you listen, not just you talk, right? You have to have both elements. Otherwise, you're not really hearing what they're saying.
Yeah, and sometimes I get into the mindset of, and I'm going to say this out loud, that I know what's best for them, because I do, because that's why they're paying me. However, I am learning that, yes, I'm learning that just because I know what's best for them does not mean that that's what they're going to do.
Yep.
So I am,
and willing,
and they're not ready.
Yeah.
So I know some people aren't into a whole cleansing program. They want a cleanser and a moisturizer, and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Because
so maybe it might be more education on your part for them to really trust you. So trust is, we earn trust, right? So the more you give, they can receive. That's the thing, right? We can give all day long, but if the person is not willing to receive, it's kind of, there's no exchange. There is no exchange with that. Okay. So giving is one muscle, receiving is another muscle. So when we don't know how to receive, and by the way, positive and negative, right? Goodness, confrontations, insults, that's part of receiving. You're still receiving. The question is, are you able to listen and then just not take it, right? Like, you don't have to take it in your body. But what I'm saying is people still would give you a positive comment and a negative comment. When you're neutral and you're able to do both and you can still stand in your power, then that's when you can really receive.
I'm working on that. I'm getting better and better. I'm going to say I'm probably between a 75 and 80% of that. Where years back, as you know me, I was probably more like 20, 80.
Right, right. Okay. Very good. Very good.
So I'm growing
You're
past that.
growing.
Well,
Yes.
I just say in my head, I have this
You're
mantra in my
growing.
head: stay neutral, stay neutral, stay neutral, stay neutral, stay
Yeah,
neutral.
and the thing is, by the way, emotions, when we really have a very strong emotion about something, it is hard to be neutral, right? Like, but you gotta be able to allow the wave of the emotion to come through so that you can be of service to that person at that moment. Remember, that's just a portion of time. You don't need to live with that person forever. Remember that. So you're
Yeah.
just addressing their need at that time, right? I think Monica has a question on how does someone identify our prosperity key? That's actually your personality Jupiter. Like if there's a human design chart that we use, and I'm going to teach this a little bit more when we do the adaptive 2021. So I've noticed, so last year you just saw me in up level 2020 because I'm helping people up level, right? Like really bring up their ability to like, what is it that they need? Well, again, you got to know your ideal avatar if you're a business owner. If you don't know them, you're going to stick spaghetti on the wall everywhere and you don't know how to talk to that one ideal client. So if you don't know what that is, you need to really hone into ideal avatar. Like who are the kinds, well, one person that you're serving, and you'll notice everybody else that has the same problem would come to you because of that. Now, when you have an offer, right, just do one offer and be good at it, right? Like you gotta like rinse and repeat and sell that so you don't keep on reinventing yourself all the time. I reinvent myself every year, but this one offer that you're like, okay, I've done this, I'm good at it, I'm gonna keep on just rinsing and repeating. So it's just a container that we create for our clients so that when they see the whatever copy we wrote, it's like, okay, I want to work with that person. Like they're just convinced they need to work with you to be able to get that one transformation, whatever that is for you, right? So once you know what the transformation is, now you go out and market, right? Because a lot of people, they try to market, but then they don't really have anything to sell yet. So you're just gathering friends, right? And then when you can't sell to your friends, then you get frustrated because you can't sell. So what I say is create in your head, what's the avatar? Create the offer, just one thing, and then you got to go out and market that. That's really the sequence. Like you can have one offer, rinse and repeat the whole time throughout your business and make money. Now, as creators, I'm a creator, so I'm like, oh, but I like to do retreats. Oh, I like to do this, but I have to integrate the whole thing, right? I have to coordinate all those efforts so the person actually feels good because I'm all about health and wealth and great relationships. So I like an integrated approach. So we use different modalities, obviously, but I hope this particular topic appealed to you because you have some clarity now on, oh, I got some work to do. This is not a one-day exercise. Angela, I want to ask Angela,
Yes.
was it helpful for you to hear the components of an offer? That it's so irresistible? Because remember, you have to love it. If you don't love it, by the way, forget about it. If it's just like, oh, it has to be this, 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 this. If the emotion is flat, right? Like, yeah, I'm not really ready for that. Okay, when you market that, it
Yeah.
sounds like that.
Mhm.
So
Totally.
tell me how, has this helped you in any way?
Oh my goodness, it's really great. I wanted to share my genius with
Okay,
you. Is that possible? Um,
yes.
so my genius is working with kids, is hosting events and motivation.
Mm,
So I out of that, like I told you, I created this program that I am um marketing to schools.
mm,
And so
okay.
I want to get more in alignment with just the numbers that you gave and how I get to my
Yes,
monthly goal. And I can see it, and I believe in my product. So I
yes,
really am feeling like I'm curious your help or your insight on I'm missing something,
right.
but I gotta find it.
Yeah, yeah. So I know towards the end I was talking about human design, right? And we're going to discuss that in full because, you know, you can only talk so much in these webinars. So like, let me just share with them some of my genius here. It's funny, in human design, my design Mars, which is my genius zone, is actually marketing. Very interesting, right? So marketing, because I'm like the fluid or the flow to connect one person to the next person, right? So I know Shifra is in skincare. The flow is sometimes what's missing, because you know exactly, like Shifra is very confident with her products, but now to connect her to her ideal audience, that's the next step. And her receiving the money back, right? That's the key there. So for you, Angela, the question is, are you well connected with schools or their superintendents or whoever the one who's going to decide whether they enroll in your program or not? Is that, are you connected with any school districts or supervisors or principals at all?
Yes, I am. And
Okay.
so the success that we've had so far has come from those avenues. So I've exercised those avenues and we've seen success. And now we have definitely a product that we can say, hey, this school system signed up and this college signed up.
Right.
Now I need to launch out beyond that immediate puddle of people that I know.
How soon is the launch? When are you going to launch?
What do you mean?
When do you intend to roll this out? Your products and services.
Well, they're launched. I do them now.
You do them now, okay.
But I want to do more.
Have you had a client yet so far?
Say it again.
Do you have a client yet?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay.
We've had several clients. Yeah.
How many people do you have so far? So, and your clients are kids, or are the parents the ones that are enrolling the kids?
What I've been able to do is partner with the organizations or the schools. So either a school district picked me up, which was like the principal, or either a nonprofit that was holding a youth workshop picked me up to design it, or a college, you know, a university picked it up to be there like after school programming. So we've gotten in this nice solid network, but how do I get to the next level on that?
I almost feel like your next step, it's either my marketing, my copywriter, or my business coach, Jade. That's the missing link. So you already have the connections, but then there's just not enough clients right now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's me figuring out that marketing, and and so when you say launch, it's like, well, in one part of my mind, I'm like, yeah, when am I going to launch promoting it to to more people, you know, to get beyond my circle.
And is this like when you're marketing, are you doing Zoom? What are you doing? Like, what is the method?
Right. When I'm
Facebook,
marketing,
is it email?
I've been using a lot of Instagram, which what I've written down that you wrote is like, where are teachers?
Yeah, you have to know where they hang out.
Yeah.
If you don't know that,
online, you know, finding out what that means online. So I need to definitely find that. And then anything else I had done was by email, you know, direct emails. But
yeah, you need to know first where they hang out. So if it's Facebook, like you can join different groups on Facebook, and then you can, you know how you can create a poll, like a survey question basically, and ask them what they need, right? So if you can provide that need, that could be the initial offer. It could be a freebie or of huge value, or it could be just a low ticket item wherein they can actually connect with you and see whether you can have a meeting, or we call it a discovery call, to see if you can be of service to them in any way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a missing link, right? It's always in the connection. Like, how do I connect point A to point B?
Yes.
That's usually our struggle.
Yes.
If you don't have a problem, I don't see like a block in connecting with people, right? Like you're like, okay, I just want to help, but where are they? So that's the first question you have to answer. Where do my ideal clients hang out? Because if you don't know that, I mean, look, if I'm marketing to a vegan and they all, let's say I'm saying, okay, eat vegan, and then they're all eating meat, that is not my ideal client.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I could be wasting my energy talking to the wrong humans because that's not what they need. If they don't need it, they're not going to buy it from you. So do you see the the dots there. So that's the first step, is you can ask and that's where the energetics comes, right? I usually keep quiet and I almost call the people that would really benefit from the message.
Mm.
And when I do the physical action, because the energetics is moving properly,
Uh-huh.
then it works. Because
Yeah.
the energy is like, again, the flow, right? It's almost like my vehicle has some kind of oil or gas to move through.
Mm.
So if you're marketing to the wrong market, well, yeah, you can talk for 24 hours. Nobody's going to hear you because they don't like what you're offering.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay, so that may be the first step, is find the group, right? Find a poll. I believe there's I met someone who's a teacher, so let me see if I can connect you with them, and let me just look at the database
Oh, wow,
here.
that would be
Okay,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's where you need to go next. So
Okay.
it's always the next step. If you
Yes.
look at, if you could just go, okay, I did this, like with Teddy, she did a webinar, great job, 5 days, and like, okay, people sat, but then that's not my ideal client. Okay, next, Teddy would have to look for the next place where people are hanging out, because she now has to do her marketing. So to invite people, right? You're not telling them to buy this. You're telling them, hey, take a look at this. Is this appealing to you? And when you
Okay.
open that door, because you have these appetizers right in front of you, like when you go to a party, they are more willing to come in, because like with Vienna, she does emotion code. So she does sampling, okay? And then if you really want the whole enchilada, right, the whole spread, this is the program for you.
Uh-huh.
Heart wall release. That's how we do that, okay?
Oh, okay.
Cool. So I hope this has helped you.
It
And
was.
we're creating our site to invite you to our adaptive 2021. Last year was up level 2020, but this year we're going to make it adaptive because there's so many changes in the world happening. That one is actually more a virtual healing intensive, right? So all these things, I'm sure things come up for people when you talk about avatar, offer, marketing. Like, I don't like that. However, when you finally have a structure for your business, now it's a rinse and repeat. Yeah, rinse and repeat, right? And you just bring them in, bring them in, bring them in, give value, give value, give value. So we're going to do our next event on February 20. And basically you could enroll. We're getting our website this week. So I'm going to make sure I'll connect with you guys again next week to make sure that's what you need at this time. But we're going to have our I have my financial guide to help you guys with like budgeting, and I call it spending plan. And then we have our business coach, and then we have me and Vienna helping you with the healing part. I do the physical, psychic, spiritual, and Vienna does the emotional part. And then we have Andrea. She's our accountability coach to really help people with accountability. So then they know what to do in a 90-day plan. Because when you have a plan for 90 days, then you have to just execute.
Yep.
So that's the goal. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you, Angela, Lou, Monica, Teddy, Shifra, Christine. Welcome, welcome. Christine is from Barbados, so thank you for being here and listening. Any other questions? So I'm gonna send that to you guys and the recording after this, okay? If you have any questions, please email me, Vivian at feelbetterrehab.com. I still keep
Thank
that.
you.
And I wanna thank you all for being here today. You have a great day. Bye.
This was amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome, Monica. Thank you, Vienna.